Apple has just dropped details at WWDC about probably the most revolutionary VR headset we've ever seen with a revolutionary price. And remember, that is the starting price is what we know so far. Let's deep dive into everything we know about this headset. Now, they of course saved the price for last, but price is the first thing we gotta talk about here, because starting at $3,500 definitely takes this headset and pushes it into business, wealthy, early adopters. I would even say a lot of VR enthusiasts would cough and struggle to think about paying this much for a headset. Now, this headset is capable of virtual reality and augmented reality, making it technically a mixed reality headset. During Apple's entire presentation, they were very careful to never say that this was VR or XR. The only term we saw them use was either augmented reality or, of course, the name Vision Pro or Vision OS, the new operating system. They definitely are not wanting to get lumped in with other VR headsets. This thing has every feature we've seen pretty much in every other VR headset in existence, all brought into one. It has no controllers to control it, but it's using a combination of voice recognition, hand tracking, and eye tracking, which also has the capabilities, of course, of foveated rendering. For those who don't know, that's the ability of it to see where your eyes are looking and put the most high definition picture right there, saving it GPU processing power on the rest of the image. Included in those eye cameras, it's got optic ID, which is how this is going to unlock with an iris scanner. The outside of the headset has what they're calling eyesight, where when the demo first popped up, people thought this was a transparent headset. It is not. It recreates an image of your eyes from inside so that people can see your eyes, see where you're looking, or it covers over your eyes if you are truly immersed, letting people around you know that you are in an immersive experience. You can't see them, they can't see you. But if that person approaches you, it will switch back to an AR pass-through automatically that shows that person walking up. And of course, with all that, this has AR pass-through similar to what we've already seen on the Quest Pro and other headsets, but just much more high definition. It even has a crown on top that goes from AR to VR by switching this back and forth, so you can choose how immersed you are in what you're doing or how present you are in seeing your outside surroundings. A feature that we've seen in headsets like the Magic Leap 2, although headsets like that, the darkening may not completely hide the real world, and some of it is more automatic. All of these cameras are tracking your emotion, your eyes, and there is actually the ability then to have video calls where you see other people in video call and they see a representation of your actual face and what your face is doing. We'll touch on that more later. They kept the headset pretty lightweight due to not putting a battery anywhere on the back of your head. There is a cable that can either be plugged into the wall or you can have a battery pack that slips into your pocket. It's unclear whether there is a small battery inside of the headset to give you time to transition between the two, but I would guess that there likely is. There's a button on it to record video, even 3D video, or take pictures. It of course is fully integrated into the Mac Apple system to where you can even look at your Mac and it will switch, automatically pull up the screens on it. Now the head strap design, it has an optional top strap as well that not many people have talked about so far, but weirdly it doesn't actually go down the front to the back of your head. It goes from side to side to help with comfort. Now the specs are impressive on this thing. For the price, it definitely is trying to deliver in the specs department. Some people even thought this thing would have to be more expensive than it was. Apple has created their own custom lenses to give you the best view with their screens that they have inside. The screens are looking to be 4K per eye, potentially even a little bit more than that. Sensors all over the headset. You got 12 cameras, 2 of them high definition color pass through on the front to give you stereoscopic vision of the real world around you. A true depth sensor, something that we saw on the Quest Pro and prototype and then it didn't make it to launch, but something that's coming on the Quest 3. LiDAR to map the room around you, so it will automatically see everything in the room, map it out, see furniture, hazards. 6 microphones on it to give the best, clearest voice and to probably cancel out the surrounding sound. Apple's known for having great cameras. Even on their phones, you can record a YouTube video and it sounds pretty good. The true depth sensor is used for hand tracking, and they say this gives the most realistic hand tracking. So far, reportedly, very little glitching in hand tracking compared to other headsets out there. Multiple chips powering this headset. They've got their powerful M2. They've added an additional one they're calling the R1, and that is processing all the input from all the different sensors to recreate this reality around you inside of the headset. And supposedly that R1 chip is eliminating virtually all lag for the pass-through, so when you turn your head, it feels like you're turning your head. It doesn't feel like it's lagging behind, with about 12 milliseconds lag, and that's versus what has been measured by outside companies on the Quest Pro to be somewhere between 35 and 60 milliseconds. The build on the headset looks similar to ski goggles, but does look really good. The front is one glass piece all the way around, so don't drop this thing. There's an aluminum body behind that glass piece to make it stronger, lightweight, and hold all of its components. The head strap strap is a cloth woven head strap, and it's this odd ribbed design. The reason for that though is to allow air to pass through those channels, and even the woven fabric itself is touching your skin or your hair as little as possible to allow this to still breathe and keep you cool. Along with that, there is air cooling systems inside of that aluminum body, allowing the headset to stay cool enough while not making a lot of noise, because noise when this headset's on your face is very noticeable. On the side, it has spatial audio speakers so that you don't have to insert headphones, you don't have to have your AirPods in, but it is compatible with them, of course. And then the battery cable is a woven cable that's long enough to put that battery into your pocket, keep it on you somewhere. And with how easy it is to unsnap and put this rear head strap on, I feel like it's likely that we'll see some third-party solutions that integrate the battery directly into the head strap to save you that cable. Battery life is rated at about 2 hours, and they even gave us a list of what they were using when they tested to get those 2 hours. It's a short time window. I feel like it's likely they'll have additional battery packs for sale that you can buy to swap these out, or they say you can plug it into the wall, but what's the point once you're plugged into a wall? Then you can't really just freely move with this anymore. That would be more for like the sitting down and watching movies and things that they show in the examples. So who are they marketing this headset towards? Obviously with that price, this is looking towards businesses, people who have a lot of money to spend, or people who are really early adopters of tech and need to have this thing first. But what it shows throughout the demo is a lot of different productivity, quality of life, entertainment, and very little gaming. Different examples of how you could be cooking a recipe in the kitchen with this on, and it would be keeping the recipe in view for you in the room where you pinned it with their simple pinch and move input that they've designed to put it there. You could be having a business meeting with this on, be able to move around a 3D model in the room while seeing multiple people on FaceTime or of course on their headsets, and be able to do work meetings this way. You can record video with this. They show how it actually has a 3D camera, and you can be getting 3D video to then later watch inside of these headsets, share on these headsets, and have a whole different experience of what it's like to recreate these memories. And they show off a little bit of gaming using a PlayStation controller, of course any game that Apple can already play on it on a giant screen inside of the headset. With all of these features, what are people saying so far? A lot of news outlets have gotten to do 30-minute demos so far, Apple-driven demos they weren't allowed to explore necessarily on their own, but seeing from what they've said that this thing is by far top of class, best VR headset there is. We've got that the hand tracking is good, that the screens look amazing, but that the pass-through is still clearly cameras. This doesn't feel like a HoloLens where you're looking through actual glass at the real world and having holograms laid on top of that. It is clear that you are looking through cameras, but they are good looking cameras. VR enthusiast websites that have tried this saying that this will blow away people who have never tried VR. It's cool, but it's still nothing new for people who are VR enthusiasts and who have tried a lot of different virtual reality headsets. Comfort has ranged, with most people saying it's about on par with the headsets out there. Road to VR saying it's less comfy than the Quest Pro, which might be a divisive statement because a lot of people don't find the Quest Pro terribly comfortable, but that it's still a missed opportunity that it doesn't have optional controllers to get later if you wanted them. But ultimately the headset comes down to price, and price is going to be the big barrier for almost anyone considering this headset. Other news outlets that aren't VR centric were talking about this and were definitely more skeptical, saying that even if price weren't a concern, there's not a single reason to buy one at launch. They're excited that it's an improved reality instead of some other metaverse, and even in the experience, it wasn't the most comfortable headset, but it was comfortable enough for the 30-minute demo, and they noticed that the headset itself didn't feel hot, but the Washington Post cited that the room was suspiciously cold that they were testing this out in, and they wondered if that was to help keep the headset cooler. The New York Times also citing, why do we need these? An example that I come back to in tech a lot and think about though is people have talked about back when we all rode horses. If you ask people what do they want, they'd say a faster horse. They didn't say a car. Apple was very specific that this is spatial computing is what they're calling this. This is the idea that this headset currently helps you do everything you're doing, from meetings, phone calls, entertainment, but the eventual goal would potentially be replace all those things with this one device. The New York Times actually was pretty unimpressed in their review. They said they had an ICK factor that they had never had before with an Apple product, and that although in the FaceTime they felt like the faces didn't look exactly like a real person, it was more like a hologram, they did admit that it is still better than current video calls and would feel more like talking with a family member in real life versus how video calls feel now. There are a lot of small articles like this rolling in as all of these news outlets got to try these 30-minute demos, but these are pre-production prototypes, and these were short demos. No one is having real long hands-on reviews yet with these. I've spent pretty much the past 24 hours reading, watching, and learning everything I can about this headset. So far, the way I'm feeling about it is obviously the reviews seem critical at first, or skeptical, people being really uncertain why this product is here, true innovation is always met with skepticism. Although I wouldn't call what Apple's doing here true innovation, they are doing the Apple thing. They are taking features from everything in existence in this whole ecosystem of VR, AR, XR, putting it into one device together, putting the premium price tag on it that only they could get away with, and hopefully, from what we've seen, making it extremely user-friendly to where everyone could pick up this device and use it. That's why Apple has always been so successful at bringing products to a mass market. They make them user-friendly. All of that said, I'm not heavily involved in the Apple ecosystem, so it's an even harder sell for me, knowing that if I want this headset, I would likely get the best experience if I got their earbuds, their phone, Mac computers, and the experience would really be reliant on having all those things. So personally for me, it's definitely not a day one purchase, even if I had that kind of money to spend on a VR headset, which I don't, but I would be extremely excited to get to demo this, test it, and see more of what it's like. Apple dropped a commercial, but I would say that the actual presentation from the keynote is much more important to watch if you want to see their full level of details on what they're showing you, because a short commercial cannot convey how much this headset is going to potentially do. Now, most of my time in VR is spent in VR gaming, and that seems to be the last thing they want you to associate this headset with. I don't think that it's not possible, and I don't think that we won't see a lot of games come to it, but they have to be games that can rely on good hand tracking, potentially voice control, and of course, AR games, mixed reality pass, or any of those are possible. So games like Demeo with hand tracking, even Super Hot could work really well, but games like Beat Saber without controllers ultimately would be very hard to pull off on a headset like this. No matter how you feel about Apple, their business practices, it is an extremely exciting innovation to see for the VR industry. I'm very excited to see how the public continues to react to this over the next year and how the launch actually goes. But from there, I would love to know, what do you think? More and more information is rolling out. We're going to keep you posted on all this, but how are you feeling so far about what you've seen? Had you even heard about it? Maybe this is far enough removed from our typical audience here that some of you hadn't heard that it had happened, but obviously the headset's not launching till next year, so it's going to be a while before anyone gets their hands on it to really show it off. I'm watching excitedly, but not thinking that I'm going to be able to cover this headset. Maybe we'll get to try it at a convention though by the end of the year. Keep an eye out for that. I want to say thank you for coming out, and I will see you in another reality.